This is the golden Easter egg that somehow nobody's ever found. Just waiting to be discovered. Someday.
I did it! I found the missing A113 Easter egg in Monsters, Inc. But before I tell you where it's hidden, let me tell you a little bit about why it's so crazy that I actually found it. Pixar is renowned for adding Easter eggs into their movies, and whilst there are hundreds of references, there are definitely 4 main categories that their Easter eggs fall into. First of all, you've got the Pizza Planet truck. This is by far one of the most iconic Easter eggs Pixar has ever put in their movies. Originating, of course, from Toy Story, the Pizza Planet truck has featured in almost every single Pixar movie ever made. Yeah. Almost. It's actually not featured in one other specific movie, but we'll get onto that later. Next is the Luxo Ball. It's probably one of the less known Easter eggs they put into their movies, but at this point it's literally Pixar's logo, so of course they're going to include it. Although these ones tend to often be blink and you'll miss it moments. There's also normally a tease to Pixar's next upcoming movie in each of their films as well. A couple examples of this include the Incredibles comic that the kid is reading in Finding Nemo, and more recently in Inside Out 2 we have one of the memory spheres inside Riley's mind featuring a little tiny Elio, which is the protagonist of their next film, Elio. That leaves us with A113, the 4th and final major category of Pixar Easter eggs. And this one has been around since the very beginning, the first example of it featuring on Andy's mum's car's license plate in Toy Story 1. But the history behind this one is even cooler. The code A113 actually references an animation studio classroom at the California Institute of the Arts, a place where many of the greatest animators at Pixar and beyond learnt their craft. This includes people like Brad Bird, the director of The Iron Giant and The Incredibles, and Pete Docter, the now CCO of Pixar. But anyway, they always sneak this one into their films in really interesting ways. Some of my favourites are definitely The Good Dinosaur, where the lettering can actually be seen formed in this fence right here near the farm. And I think possibly the coolest way they did it was in Onward, where they had an audible Easter egg version.
We got A113 in progress. All units report.
But just like the Pizza Planet truck in that movie, the A113 Easter egg was never found in Monsters, Inc. Until now. For over 20 years, people have been scanning every frame of Monsters, Inc. to try and find this. They've searched every time code, every language of the film to try and find it.
No hiciste tu papeleo anoche.
Huh? And it's fair to say there have been some fairly creative but also kind of absurd sightings of this Easter egg.
One if you just cut this line off.
No.
The most popular theory I can find is when Randall was sent to the A Bug's Life trailer van, which by the way is another cool reference for you, where the branches outside could spell A113 in Roman numerals, ACXIII. But personally, I feel like this one is a very big stretch. Some of the shapes of these letters don't look quite right, and I just feel like that C is probably the biggest reach I have ever seen in my life. Another attempt though from this very scene is actually the star constellations. A lot of people have tried connecting the dots of the stars to form the 4-digit code, but I just feel like they wouldn't put it in the film this way. It's just way too obscure. Well, what about the pillar inside the factory? This one is towards the end of the movie where Mike and Sully are having a bit of a conversation, and just behind Mike, right in the distance there, we can see the sort code on the wall, A13. But whilst this is very close, it's still missing another 1. And because of that, I can't confidently say that this is it. But at this point, what else do we have? Pete Docter, the director of Monsters, Inc. even said he doesn't even know whether it was put into the movie or not. And when the director of the actual movie has said this just really hammers home that it might not be in there at all. And because of this, a lot of people gave up the search. Apart from me. No, I still believe it's in this movie, and there is one spot we have overlooked completely, and that is the news station. But no one has ever stopped to actually consider why this is by far the best chance we have at finding the Easter egg. Let's just break it down for a second. As Mike and Sully are watching the news, we see a closer up version of the screen, so we're just going to analyse that. Firstly, the 1-3. It's abundantly all over the walls of the studio set. So far so good, but let's not get ahead of ourselves because the next bit is probably the most controversial part. The theory is that the monsters themselves then represent the A and the final 1 in the combination, which all together would make A113. Now people are certainly divided about this because it's not extremely clear. I mean, the yellow monster doesn't really look like an A, it's a big stretch. And having the room code spread out across multiple aspects of the same image, I don't know whether that completely clicks. However, I do firmly believe this is the best option we have. It's important to remember that everything in animation is intentional, because the artists, especially in 2001, had to painstakingly animate every scene, every background, every hair on Sully's back. Do you really believe that this scene right here would be just such a coincidence that they added it in? I think it would be wild to assume that these monsters and the background are not any way related to A113. No, I think the A113 Easter egg in Monsters Inc. has been hiding in plain sight all along right here. But I have no confirmed proof. So I actually reached out to Pixar. I put my theory to the test and I asked them to get back to me. Okay, they didn't get back to me, but I didn't need them to, because thanks to the power of doom scrolling, I opened my Instagram one morning to find this. This is an official post from the Disney UK Instagram account explaining every A113 Easter egg in every Pixar movie. And what was on the list when we got down to the Monsters Inc. section? The news station. At last. Confirmation. And I like to think that someone at Pixar took pity on me and decided to make the theory that I posed to them the real deal. Thanks, Pixar. I love you. But finally, the missing A113 Monsters Inc. Easter egg has been found. 24 years after the movie's release. Now all that's left to do is, find the missing Pizza Planet truck from The Incredibles, but I'm up for the challenge. But if you did get to the end of this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.